Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So tonight I want to talk about this concept of decentralization versus centralization. Because many in this space would like to see complete decentralization, which means when there is a hack or a rug pull, there is no recourse. But then again, there are some that are looking for some recourse, that are looking for some kind of defense or regulation, right? And that is the main topic for tonight because Mark Cuban, as we know, he invested in, or he was providing liquidity for a project called Iron Finance, which did just go belly up, and the project is pretty much dead. And now he's calling for regulation. So is this the right move? Do we need more regulation in the space, or do we not? Let's discuss. Thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams every day, 11:30 and 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you hit that notification bell and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, CryptosRUs.com, and Quora. All right, let's do this. Let's do this, guys. Welcome. I know I'm a little bit late today, but I had some things to do. But I am here. So let me change my screen. All right. So some of you guys may have picked this up. I created a dedicated stream just for this. And now, Postmortem, Iron Finance has declared what happened. It wasn't an official rug pull, meaning that it was an exit scam. There wasn't a breach, sort of, right? Like it wasn't like a smart contract breach or a hack or anything like that. It was basically a vulnerability of the code. So Mark Cuban, recently has been really gung-ho about DeFi. Really loves it. And there's nothing wrong with that. DeFi is evolving, and it is going to grow into something fantastic. But, it seems like Mark Cuban, maybe he didn't do his homework. He found a project called Iron Finance that he likes, and it's on top of Polygon, which also he likes. He invested actually directly into Polygon. So I don't know what made him choose Iron Finance, but whatever. He declared that he was on it. A lot of people jumped in because of him, right? And then yesterday, the liquidity just basically went to zero. It seemed like there was a rug pull. Well, today, the team has come out and basically said, well, not really. It's not like the team or founders exit scam pulled everything out. No, it just seemed like some whales found some vulnerability. And basically because of these liquidity pools and how you have to maintain a certain amount on each side, it seems like some whales decided to pull out and deposit, and they kept doing it on certain pairs to make it seem like that the liquidity was draining. And basically, to sum up, it caused a lot of fear. And people that had Titan within the liquidity pools, they panicked and they kept panic selling. And Iron Finance admits that their stablecoin is not fully collateralized. It's utilizing fractional banking, just like the banking system. So when everyone wants to withdraw at the same time, the system can't handle it, and then it collapsed, and basically it went to zero. And basically the team said this project is now done, and they're going to work on their other new projects. Basically this one, they're just go chalk this up as a learning experience. They go look at exactly what happened and how they fix it. So this project is kaput. Now, Mark Cuban, he did. So there was some controversy because yesterday he actually tweeted out saying, oh, I got hammered just like everyone else. Except he then followed up saying, well, I got out just in time. He pulled out before this happened. So people are putting one and one together. Was he part of the whale group that caused this to happen in the first place? Because he probably had a lot in there and he pulled out, and maybe this is what caused it in the first place. Or he was told or warned that this may happen. That's why he pulled out, right? So a lot of people are just wondering, what is going on? Is he really that lucky to pull out of his investment beforehand? or he's just lying to save face, or he's part of the cause. So we don't know. But today, he writes something, a big article on Bloomberg, and unfortunately I can't show it because Bloomberg makes you pay for articles. I can't even pull it up. But to sum up, he's calling for regulation, like a lot of it, right? For stable coins, he wants the SEC and the CFTC and whoever to define laws and regulations over DeFi and stable coins, and basically he wants the whole market regulated. So this goes to this goes to what I was saying at the intro and the monologue. Basically, so what is the right answer? Because you have two sides to this. Decentralization, true decentralization, where basically it's you are your own bank. You make your own decisions. Okay, if something happens, there's no one you could cry to for help. Okay, the projects, they can't do a rollback. They can't reclaim your funds. And basically, that it is what it is, right? And the open market will figure it out, because the bad projects that gets hacked or rug pulled or suffers vulnerability, they will naturally die out, while the good ones that don't have these problems will continue to stay. So you have one side, the Maximus, the blockchain decentralization Maximus, or libertarians, would argue that, well, no, you don't want regulation, right? Because if you bring all this regulation to DeFi and stablecoins, then how is this different than the banking sector? How is this different than centralized finance, right? If DeFi projects are going to be regulated just like banks, then what makes them different than banks? They're essentially banks, right? So I see that point, because if you do have regulation over this, yes, you have consumer protection, but then they just become banks. They become centralized banks, right? Because there are rules and regulations they have to follow, and it'll be the same thing. But then on the other hand, people argue, and I'm guessing Mark will argue this, without consumer protection, without the ability to suspend accounts or roll back or do whatever is necessary to get funds back, this will prevent the whole industry from growing. And there are some people that feel that way, right? That you do need some kind of consumer protection. So right now, this is a big thing. This is a big thing in crypto. You have one side that says we need nothing, and you have another side that says we need a lot of it, and then you have people in the middle, right, that wants to compromise. And right now, this is what we're seeing in the entire industry. Because here, I'll show you some examples. For one, maybe some of you guys know this, maybe some of you guys don't. Ethereum Classic. Do you know why there's Ethereum Classic and why there's an Ethereum? It's because Ethereum was hacked. Very early on, 2016, Ethereum came out with a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, basically like a fund, a pool of funds that's meant to fund projects that's coming aboard Ethereum. And guess what? There was a vulnerability, and it was hacked. And then there was a big vote. Basically, what should we do? Should we roll back the network so that the funds are recollected and the hackers don't have any access to it? Or should we just let it be? That, hey, it was taken, that's it. There's nothing we could do, right? And then you have one side that said, no, we should not do that. We should not roll back. And there's one side that said, yeah, we should roll back to protect the people in this space. Well, guess what? Ethereum Classic is the side where they didn't want to roll back. And Ethereum is the side where they did want to roll back. So interesting enough, Ethereum Classic is actually the original chain. Ethereum is actually a fork of the original chain, which is now Ethereum Classic. So interesting fact if you didn't know that, right? So this again shows you there's a division there. There are certain people that want recourse and certain people that don't. And it's easy to say, it's really easy to say, hey, I want true decentralization, right? Those people that get hacked, they just didn't know what they're doing. And they chose poorly, right? Everyone always thinks that until it happens to them, until they happen to be using some kind of DeFi and there is some hack or vulnerability, and then people start changing their minds like, oh, no, I do want to get my funds back, right? So, some people, let's just say, is calling for one thing, but they really want the other when it comes to them. So, I mean, there's a lot of examples of this. Cardano. A lot of you guys like Cardano. Charles Hoskinson is a big component of true decentralization. Everything is decentralized. There is no centralized power, not even leadership. Although you could argue he's the biggest face of Cardano, but that's why he formed IOHK, Emergo, Cardano Foundation. You have 3 governing bodies that decides what the project is going to do. And plus, in the future, governance will be turned over to the people. But basically, he's trying to make it so that there is no centralization in any aspect to the project, including token supply and including voting rights. And there will be no rollbacks, recourse, or any kind of defense. It's just basically open market. So you have projects like that. Let's not forget, some of you guys were around in 2019, and this brought a lot of hate towards CZ. CZ actually, Binance was hacked for $40 million. So this is a centralized exchange, got hacked, but Binance, of course, had the funds to recoup that. So no one really lost any funds. But, it was suggested to him during a Q&A, a live session, that, hey, you should suggest to do a rollback on the Bitcoin, on the Bitcoin blockchain. And he's like, okay. It seemed like he was not familiar with the concept, that he didn't know that it could be done. So he's like, okay, I'll think about it. And then everyone started hating him, saying, of course, we're not going to roll back the entire Bitcoin chain, or, for this $40 million hack. Bitcoin is a lot more valuable, and this is something that we'll never do, and no miners will ever agree to this. So then he backfired. He came back and said, "Okay, that was my mistake. I just didn't know that. I was just thinking about ideas out loud." It was a really bad moment for CZ. Those of you guys that were around. That is why with Binance Smart Chain right now, people have considered or suggested to CZ that, hey, some of these vulnerabilities or hacks that has happened with Binance Smart Chain projects, right? Binance Smart Chain technically has the ability to roll back the network if they wanted to. But, of course, they're taking a stance, no, we're not going to do it. So they're trying to take the stance of being decentralized and not having a centralized like power to be able to do that. But again, there's, the whole industry is mixed, and there's really no right or wrong answer. You could be on one side and you could be on the other. You could be somewhere in the middle. But that's what we're facing right now. And depending on who you talk to, it's kind of like politics. People just have very different views. And I'll give you one last example. And this is actually with my my new sponsor, Energi. Energi has a really unique defense system. So they have something called EBI, which is basically a team that is going to help in situations of hacks and stuff like that, vulnerabilities. They will actually work with the authorities to try to recoup and, try to lock down and track down accounts and so forth. But they also go a step further. Even though transactions are basically settled instantaneously, if you want to actually move your Energi onto exchange, they purposely upped the confirmation time to about 5,000. So you need 5,000 confirmations before Energi gets settled and confirmed on an exchange. And roughly that takes about 3 days, 3 to 3.5 days. And the reason they did that is because if there is a scam or there's a vulnerability or maliciousness or something, and people do steal a whole lot of Energi and tries to sell on an exchange, basically you could stop that. So they also take kind of like a middle ground stance where they will prevent, sort of, prevent Energi being transferred to exchanges, but allow basically everything else. But they do have this whole group that's also tracking the behaviors and stuff like that. So again, there's really no right or wrong. But I do say this. Overall with Mark Cuban and DeFi and Iron Finance. I think, when something's too good to be true, it usually is. That's one of the things that scares me about yield farming and providing liquidity to these pools. Sometimes you see that these pools offer 1,000, 10,000, 15,000, 100,000% APY. And when you see something like that, it's just too good to be true, right? That means that the project is so desperate to get your liquidity that they're willing to pay such a high amount of interest for your crypto, right? So traditionally, when you look at something that is providing, like if you're staking, say you're staking in a Cardano pool, right? It's giving you 5%. If you're depositing into, say, BlockFi, okay, right now they're giving you 10%. Those are within reason, but they're astronomical compared to the interest that you make with the traditional bank account. But yield farming, they're giving you 10, 20, 50, 100%. But something like Iron Finance with Titan and some of these pools, they were providing like 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 APY. So that kind of tells you that you got to be careful. You got to be careful, right? And someone like Mark Cuban, even though he's a genius at what he does, which is entrepreneurship, creating businesses, fostering businesses, building up businesses, and so forth, right? He's not a genius at everything. So in this case, it just seemed like he didn't do his homework exactly. He thought that this was legit and this happened, right? So you just have to be careful. And I've been saying since yesterday and really forever, it doesn't matter who enters the game into what. You should always be careful because you never know. You never know what may happen. So you have to protect yourself. Do your own homework, do your own research, and so forth, right? All right, so that's what I wanted to talk about really tonight. There's two other things, and then I'll just get to Q&A. Really kind of slow news day. John McAfee, he shares his experience. Basically, the Fed, he's still sitting in a jail cell in Spain for the last 7 months. And he said all of his crypto assets, all his ICO, stuff, and all his crypto has been taken away and seized. And what he describes, jail is no joke. Basically, he doesn't speak Spanish. He doesn't have any friends. All his legitimate friends have basically distanced themselves from him. So jail is just no joke, right? But he says he still regrets nothing. He still thinks that even inside these prison bars, I have never felt more free. The things you believe you own, in reality, own you. So basically what he's saying is possession and wealth and everything else that he had before, he was a prisoner to that. And now that he has nothing, he is free. It's kind of deep, but it also depends on your situation, right? But here's the interesting thing. John McAfee's wife, Janice McAfee, tweeted that Elon has moved the crypto markets with his tweets far greater than John McAfee could ever have and continues to do so with impunity, while John faces real possibility of dying in prison for allegedly engaging in similar activities. So she does have a point there that Elon has moved Bitcoin and Dogecoin far more than John McAfee ever has with his ICOs, shillings, and stuff like that, right? But the difference is he was paid. He knew what he was doing. He knew that he was shilling them, for payment. Is Elon doing that? I don't know. I don't think he's getting paid in Bitcoin, but one could argue he does own Bitcoin, or at least Tesla owns Bitcoin, right? So, makes you wonder. All right, lastly is this. Miami Mayor Suarez, who is trying to make Miami the most Bitcoin-friendly city in the world. He's trying to woo the Chinese miners to come because Miami does have a lot of cheap electricity because they're using nuclear power. Yes, they're using nuclear power, which means that their energy is really, really cheap per watt. And he's trying to get all the miners that's coming out of China, looking for different places to set up their farms. Miami wants to be in competition with, say, Texas and all these other states that are very low cost for electricity, and also, of course, El Salvador and Iceland and all these other places that also offer pretty cheap renewable energy. So we'll see. We'll see. I would love to get Mayor Suarez to GeorgeCon. So been trying to reach out to him. No response, but I would love to get him. Love to get him. All right. That is pretty much it. You know what? Overall, crypto market cap is down slightly from this morning, down 4%, even though some of the projects that are reviewed this morning in terms of upcoming events, the ones that do have upcoming events, they're doing pretty well. For example, Theta and T-Fuel right now is doing very well because of their mainnet coming out. Look at T-Fuel is up 17%, right? Tizo is actually doing pretty well. Hedera is actually doing pretty well because they do also have some things that's coming out too. I didn't understand everything, but they have some stuff coming out. But for most part right now, you know what, the market kind of, again, kind of stands still, kind of hovering. And you know what, there's just still a lot of fear. People are trying to fear themselves out. People are trying to fear themselves into selling, right? So that's what's happening right now, but we will get through this. We will get through this. Best way to look at it is this is a buying opportunity. That's the best way to look at it. And if you're not buying, simply hold it. All right, let's do some Q&A. Let's see. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything. Nathan says entire Cuban Iron Titan story is a false flag. What does that mean? A false flag? You think something else happened? Adam says, wow, that's deep. It is. It is. It is. I mean, McAfee, you know, he's done a lot. Very, very eccentric guy, but you know, he was going off the deep end. You know, when he first got into crypto and Bitcoin, he was like Max, like someone that's a big Bitcoin advocate, you know, really wanted to see Bitcoin because he believes in the freedom of Bitcoin. Then he kind of went off on a deep end when he started getting into a lot of these shit coins, and not only getting into them, but being paid to pump them up. And he was just doing that one after another. Then he started bragging about how he hasn't paid taxes in 8 years, and he dared the IRS to go after him, right? Like, yeah, you probably should just keep a low profile. But you know what? I wish everything works out for him. Zach, appreciate everything you have done. Keep it up. That's what I plan on doing. I'm here for you guys. Singularity Net DAO. That sounds like it's just a DAO for Singularity or AI marketplace. I think AI marketplaces are just too early. I think AI is a very loose term. A lot of machine learning, deep learning, all these things are considered AI. Singularity is trying to create a marketplace for it. I think it's just too early for it right now. They've been around since 2017, so I'm guessing that DAO has to support that. Caliber neutral. In a protocol world, I imagine to be created with the right or wrong intent. Do you worry about imbalance of their intent, or decentralization, free market, best actor survive? That's the thing. That's the thing. It depends on what side you're on. If, you know, the true decentralization guys that basically believes everything should be decentralized, there's no centralized power. That means there's no recourse. There's nothing that could be done when something goes wrong or right? Basically the free market would dictate who wins and who doesn't. But you got to think, while that's happening, a lot of people are going to get wrecked, right? You know, in 2017, BitConnect was a big thing, and billions of people lost. One token, billions was lost, right? There's a lot of people that's going to lose a lot of money. Iron Finance, you know, arguably $1 billion lost with that, right? So letting the free market dictate, I don't know if that's the best strategy, because in the process, a lot of people will get wrecked without some kind of consumer protection, right? So, what price do you see Atom at? How much higher than previous highs? You know what? Their Gravity Dex and Gravity Bridge is on right around the corner. I think that's going to help them quite tremendously. I think they don't have a de facto crypto play, and that's what it is. So even though you have like Kava and some of the other ones that are riding on top of Cosmos, somehow they don't want to be the de facto Cosmos play for some reason. But I think those things will help. X-Men is doing great. The Flare Finance Chainlink partnerships are huge. Okay. I'm actually, one of the articles one of my writers go work on is Flare. I want to kind of know that myself. So I want to see how it all ties in. Thoughts on WooTrade? My buddy won't shill it, and they seem to have a strong fan base on Twitter. They had a lot of strong finance, and people kept begging me to look at it. I mean, honestly, they look like they're, you know, a financial space. They have their terminal. You could do trading on it. I did not like their marketing at all. Their example on their webpage was talking about how you could save fees on $10 million worth of trades or $100 million worth of trades. I'm like, that's not realistic. People trading, you're not trading that volume, right? So that kind of turned me off. What do you think about status AMC? The push for a squeeze is great for both spaces. Appreciate your channel. I don't follow it as much. Maybe I should. I know there's a lot of people that stick with it. You know, I see it as whether or not they're right or wrong, okay? Like the people that are doing it, I think what it shows is collectively you have a group of people that are standing together. And when you have a group of people that stand together for a common cause, you could cause a lot of change. And that's what I want to see in crypto space. Too many people love to bash one project just to make their project look better. No. And there's too many like Bitcoin maximalists that are bashing altcoins, or altcoins maximalists that are bashing Bitcoin. No. Everyone should be helping each other, right? If the whole community grows together, that's how everyone wins. But when you have infighting, that's when you rip yourself apart, right? So what I see with the AMC situation is this, is that you have a group of people that's standing together and they're doing very well, right? And the same thing could be said for crypto, and that's what we need to do with Bitcoin and a lot of these altcoin projects that deserve to be much higher. Mike, I think I just answered your question about WooTrade. I have not used them before, so I can't comment on that. Zubair, Saeed, thank you. Tyler, hold on. I lost your chat. I lost it. Oh, I lost it. Okay. Tyler, can you give your thoughts on future value AMM projects such as Pancake, Sushi, Panther, increasingly popular? I don't think they'll go away. I think the draw of yield farming is great, just like Iron Finance. People want to collect a ton of interest by providing liquidity. That is why if you look at a DEX play or a swap play versus an AMM, there's a big difference. AMMs grow much bigger because of that, right? So I think they will continue to be popular, continue to grow. Pedro, appreciate that. Ryan, 2 days ago, you advised on 2 exchanges, one for, I'm guessing, stable coins, and one for swapping coins to the crypto you want to purchase. Which exchanges do you recommend? Yeah, so I'm talking about one exchange for fiat onboarding, meaning you're buying with dollars or euros or whatever, and one that you're trading with either with crypto, with Bitcoin or Ethereum or stable coins, whatever it may be, right? So in terms of the fiat onboarding ones, if you're in the US, the 2 would be Gemini and Coinbase. I like Gemini better. I think they provide better support, and also they don't just randomly lock accounts like Coinbase does. But there's several others too. Like Binance.us also offers it. Voyager also offers it, right? But it's just a little bit more complicated. I find the KYC process and stuff with Gemini and Coinbase, they're just easier. So I would recommend those two, but there's others that I just mentioned that does fiat onboarding. But like with say KuCoin or Binance, Kraken, some of these other ones, right? I think it's just much easier to transfer crypto in and then trade with it rather than try to onboard fiat on them because it's just difficult. So hopefully that explains it. And I have all these URLs in the description of this video too. Mina, okay. It's slow. It can't scale right now. Mirror, long-term uses, a utility. Basically, it's created by Terra, a use case for their stable coins. I forgot if it's synthetic creations or lending. I forgot which one is which. Mirror, yeah, I think this is a synthetic token, Yeah, this is creating synthetics, basically tokenizing things. But it's created by Terra, and I think it's good. And I like Terra, too. Long-term uses and utilities, basically you can tokenize things, like whatever you really want to. I don't know what, but you can tokenize things. Do you know of any projects that incentivize scientific research or publishing research results on the blockchain? No. That's like a data marketplace, right? Like, I don't know if it's like scientific research, but if you had data on research, or I guess you could do it, but I don't know of any. Maybe reach out to Cardano. They love scientific research, so maybe they have something. AMP is doing well. Yes, a lot of people love AMP. That's for sure. Will Atom break old all-time high? How much higher? I think so. Eventually, how much higher? I have no idea. AMP is only growing. I mean, Cosmos is only growing. What else did I miss? Solana just hit Coinbase. Thoughts on Solana? I love Solana. It's a big cap for a reason. So I think with Sam from Alameda and FTX, they're gonna do just fine. Alameda basically invests in every single project that's coming out of Solana. Do I still believe in Venus? Yes, I know that they got hacked, but they're still the biggest like lending play on Binance Smart Chain. I think they'll come back. What am I? I have looked in DeFi chain before. It looks promising. I can't tell you more than that. I haven't used it myself, but it does seem like they're all in one DeFi play, DeFi chain. They have their own DEX. They have a lot of things going on. In fact, they have lending and even their own Oracle. But you know what? Honestly, I don't hear many people talk about them at all. So this is one of the ones I actually been meaning to research. I just haven't yet. And they're about $1 billion, so they're relatively big already with 321 million locked in. So this is one that I'm gonna put on in the bookmarks, I should say. Yeah, I need to look into them eventually. Travala. Travel industry obviously got decimated. They've been around for a while. I honestly don't know how many people are going to spend crypto on travel. That's the thing. Just like spending crypto anywhere else, it's you know what? It's crypto is just meant to be hodled right now, right? Or holdled. So I don't know. But I know they've been sticking around for quite some time, right? But you know what? It's a good time to shield this. Rather than spend your crypto, you can get a blockchain Bitcoin rewards credit card and get rewarded for your purchases. Get rewarded in Bitcoin. So this is the opposite. Rather than spend Bitcoin, let's say, you get rewarded in Bitcoin, which to me makes a whole lot of sense. All of us have credit cards, right? Get a credit card that pays you back in Bitcoin. To me, that makes more sense. Anyways, if you guys are interested, their wait list is still ongoing. My link is below. What else is there? Have I heard of Raptor token? No, I have not. Don't tell me it's a project to save raptors. Can we heal the Earth together? Our mission is to heal planet Earth together and fight climate change. Okay. Okay, just with that right there, I'm going to say no. No. StormX CEO constantly tweets at times showing immaturity. Does this affect price action on StormX? It's been the downside ever since. You know what, Noah? I have noticed that Simon does tweet a lot. And sometimes it's a little bit political. And I don't know if it shows him immaturity, maybe. But he's a young leader, right? Young leaders, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. He has done a marvelous job with StormX. But does it affect the price? I don't know. Maybe. If people get turned off by it, right? So, you know, I know that people get very opinionated, especially if you're like looked up to, right? Like if you get very popular in something, like let's just say for example, Mark Cuban, of course, a very smart guy, right? Billionaire. You don't become a billionaire by lucking into it, right? He's a very smart guy. But when you get in a position where you have a lot of fans looking up to you for everything, right? You tend to sway off what you know. And you tend to believe that you know a little bit of everything. But sometimes you just don't. So I think all of us in that situation, a lot of times I am, you know, if I tweet something, I'm like, okay, that's stupid. I just delete it. But I think, Noah, it may be some of that going on. Gerald Wallet is one coming out on Cardano. I think other people are shilling it. I have not had a chance to look at it yet. Pick up some Titan on cheap? No, they just said they're a dead project. They're not continuing forward. Why would you suggest that? No. The $1 super chat. Thank you, Michael Copiosa. Yeah, this is pretty much a dead project. 5,000 in volume. It's either a pump project, hype project, or a dead project. Slam token, it is casino gambling project. They're making casino games. You could use tokens to play. Okay. Sounds like Funfair. Funfair makes casino games and just gambling games overall. Right? It's a little taboo. Not everywhere allows it, and not everyone's into gambling, so. Ball Oot. Thank you for that. What else is there? You should go on Graham Stevens' podcast and help educate masses. You know what? I reached out to him a couple times. You know, he's been doing a lot of crypto videos recently. I mean, he was a real estate guy like Kevin, right? Turned into personal finance, and now he's just talking about nonstop about Dogecoin and Bitcoin and all this stuff. So I commented on a few of his videos like, hey, invite me on the show. Let's have a good conversation, right? I have not heard back from him, so I don't know. I reached out to Kevin again, too, because, you know, our part one was so good. You know, I figured we could have a good conversation about altcoins and stuff, but he hasn't reached out to me, too. Daniel asks, how much did Mark Cuban lose? According to him, nothing, because he supposedly pulled out before this all happened. So I don't know. What altcoin do you hold the most? Bitcoin. Yeah, I do hold Bitcoin the most, but it's not an altcoin. If you had to pick one, which would you choose, Cosmos or Theta? You say Cosmos. I would say that's too hard. I can't choose. I would say Theta, but Cosmos has great potential too. I guess it depends on long-term or short-term. All right, last few questions. What do you see in the future of PokerSwap in terms of functionality and price? I'm actually not that familiar with them, so I can't tell you what they're going to do in the future. Sorry. Zaya, appreciate it. Kalo, I'm not even going to answer that anymore. All right, guys. Swipe is a universal wallet. I don't hear too many people talk about it, and I forgot what Sovereign is. What are they about? Last project. Decentralized Bitcoin trading lending platform. Oh, it's like a DeFi play. Yeah, it's a DeFi play, supposedly utilizing Bitcoin's blockchain. I don't like the comic book style, to be honest. All right, that's it. Overall, you know, it's a hard. I don't know. There's no right or wrong. It's a hard conversation. There's a debate. You know, with crypto, should we go 100% decentralized with no recourse, with basically free market, whatever goes, with no consumer protection? Or do you have one side, you go to the side where there is recourse and there is consumer protection? But then, you know, isn't that a lot just like banks, right? So where do we fall in, right? I'd say somewhere in the middle. I do think some regulations, you know, for consumer protection would be good. But then again, you know what? Maybe the projects will figure out themselves, because these projects are already building in protections of their own. And maybe that's the best way to do it, right? Maybe we don't need any regulations. We just need to let the market figure it out in terms of building in protection, so we can prevent something like this with iron finance. We'll see. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. As always, smash a like, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good night, guys.